Are you considering a move from Virginia or the Northern Virginia area and looking at the North Alabama, Huntsville Metro area? Well, guys, you're in luck. I've been there, done that as part of a military family. We've moved many times, and I spent what I would consider the bulk of my childhood there in Alexandria, Virginia, so I know what Virginia culture is like. And then we are here now in the Decatur, Alabama, but the Huntsville Metro. And so this video, we're going to be talking about 15 things that you need to know, 15 differences just from my experience personally between those two areas. They're drastically different, but guys, these two southern states are very, very different. But I love the Huntsville area. I love the Decatur area, and this is home now. I wouldn't go back. So let's go into the list. All right, so number 15 on the list. One of my favorite things about this area is the southern hospitality and that good old southern charm. You know what it's like in the East Coast life. It's busy, it's a fast-paced environment. You are bumping into people at the grocery store and you just hurry on with your business because you're never going to see them again. And people just are not very friendly. And I talk to people, I've talked to someone just recently, relocated from California. Everyone I talk to who have relocated, they love the people here and the hospitality. I'll have nice conversations with complete strangers in the grocery stores, but this area being small enough, I may bump into them again. There's just a different pace here, and you'll have conversations with people that you would not have up there in the north. Well, not north, but you are considered north. Here in Alabama, Northern Virginia would be considered north states, even though it's a southern state. They're weird, but all right. Moving on. Number 14 on the list is it is slower paced here. Yes, East Coast culture is very fast paced. Coming from the West Coast is a little bit more laid back, but here in the South, it is a much slower pace than these other areas you're looking at. It's just a little bit slower way of life, and you know what? I love it. It's nice to be able to just calm down a little bit. It's not as much of a high professional environment where everything just very suits in corporate culture. It's not like that here. You're seeing a much more laid back environment, so I definitely appreciate that change. All right, number 13 on the list, traffic. This is something that is so much better here. Okay, I'm here in Decatur, and with bad traffic, it may take me an hour to get to the far side of Huntsville. And that is nothing, and it's not bumper-to-bumper traffic. It'll have some slowdowns, but the traffic here is nothing like there in Northern Virginia. One thing, though, different that, speaking to someone from California here recently, that they observed as different is people will go so much faster on those interstates. I mean, you'll be speed limit 70, you'll have people flying at 80, 90 miles an hour on your left, passing you by, because there isn't these bumper-to-bumper traffic. So that is something to be aware of. People do drive a bit faster here in that regard, especially here, here in Decatur. You do want to wait at that when the light turns green, because people will just fly, right through those red lights, and they are not good at using their blinkers. So that's some differences that you're going to be looking at here as far as traffic goes. You don't have as much of it, but you're going to have the flip side, people driving a whole lot faster. All right, so number 12 on the list. This one is interesting. You won't ever, if you are not from here, like born and raised here, you won't ever be considered from here. I talk to people that moved here 20, 30 years ago, and they're like, yeah, maybe I can start saying I'm from here now, but I don't know. My in-laws have lived here for like 18 years, and they don't consider themselves from here. People don't consider them from here. And so that's just something you have to kind of accept, is the locals here won't ever consider you from the area. Now, they're still very welcoming and inviting. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, I'm fine with that. I'm proud for all the different states I've been in, from our family, relocating as part of service to the country, as part of the military family. I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of coming from Alexandria, Virginia. I don't have the southern accent. Those bits of it are starting to creep in. I've been trying to fight it off, but some are coming in after so many years here. But yeah, I'm proud of the different areas I've been in, and having lived in many different states. There are a lot of people here who have been born here, raised here, and they've never left. And if you're looking at relocating from other areas, that's a nice advantage, seeing other parts. So just own it. And if you don't talk Southern, then that was a butchered Southern accent. But if you don't talk Southern, people are going to pick up on that right away. It's okay. And you know what? Just own it. It's okay. I do. Just move on. All right, so number 11, even though Southerners talk a bit slower and they have that, I think it's a cute Southern accent, they aren't dumb. And you may see that, especially working East Coast, there may be a tendency to look down on Southern people because of their accent, their way of talking, may think that they're dumb. They're not. Huntsville, look at it. You've got the most rocket scientists and engineers, out of anywhere. Huntsville is one of the most educated cities in the country. And yeah, Southern people aren't dumb. They may talk a little different, talk a little slower. Man, they do take their education and advanced degrees seriously here. I've got tons of friends that just keep going into their bachelor's, into their master's, into their PhDs. So don't let them fool you. This area is very well educated and a lot of very smart. All right, number 10. This really took us by a surprise when we moved here, but there are dry counties, like places you can't go buy alcohol in that county, or dry cities. It's weird. It's something we did not know when we came here. It's like, why is none of the gas stations nearby selling alcohol? It's because that area is a dry area. And then you have wet cities and dry counties, things like that. And then even too, you've got a lot of holdovers from the past where when we went to a grocery store on a Sunday and they're like, oh, we can't sell alcohol, or oh, it's got to be past a certain time to sell alcohol. Yeah, it's so different here. It's not like you can just go buy alcohol at any time in some areas. So something to keep in mind. If you have questions, we can look at where the dry areas versus the wet cities are and what the rules are. But yeah, alcohol laws are a little bit different here, which just blew my mind. So different that you can't just buy alcohol whenever you want. Number 9, and I know Virginia, DC area, they are super big on their professional football. Well, Alabama doesn't have any professional football teams. Huntsville has a minor league baseball team, but no professional baseball teams, things like that. So, your sports culture here, they do take sports culture very seriously. That's going to be collegiate level. Collegiate football, they take seriously, and they're super into it here. But, yeah, you don't have those major sports arena and stadiums here in the North Alabama area, and that is a little bit of a disappointment that we don't have that. Though with that new Rocket City Trash Panda Stadium, that is a big addition here. Still minor leagues, but hey, it's something. We're seeing that grow. So maybe in the future, down the road, maybe we'll get lucky and get some professional teams. But right now, we don't have any. And, Nashville isn't that far away. There are other cities not that far away, which is good that you can go and travel and see your favorite teams playing. But it's something to keep in mind that you will be having to travel a little bit further for that. All right, so number 8 on the list, something that we really saw a big appeal to is if you go into the county, you can get places that have some acreage, and you can actually have some farm animals. I know my family definitely wanted that homestead lifestyle. They have chickens and alpaca, donkeys, just a small little homestead, a spot to garden. That was something that we were very fortunate in Northern Virginia to have had a half-acre growing up. And me and my brother would go outside, and that half-acre was huge, especially compared to Hawaii, where that was just unheard of there to be able to afford something like that. That was very awesome to have there in North Virginia and be able to play around. But here you can actually go further. You can get more acreage. And that may be something that if you are thinking of land, check out what a few acres looks like, because you may be on a little pencil lot and wanting some acreage and thinking, oh, I need 10 acres. When you see what 10 acres looks like, you'll be shocked at how big that really is. You may really only want something that's a couple of acres once you understand how big it is and the upkeep. It's hard to really think of it until you see it in person. But yeah, you can get some nice houses out in the county, have those farm animal lifestyle if that's something you want, or just have some space between you and your neighbors. It's still not bad of a commute to be able to get back to the city, back to work, and then have that nice little oasis outside the city to return home to. So that's number 8 is, you can get some land out here, which is great. So number 7, we talked about land, but Virginia is a buyer beware state, caveat emptor, and guess what? Alabama is as well. So if you remember when you're purchasing there, it's let the buyer beware. You have to, and I don't know all of the Virginia real estate laws, but here in Alabama, the duty of discovery lies on the buyer. It's not a seller disclosure state. So get your home inspections. Partner with a great real estate agent who can help navigate you through that process. Now, that's a good segue. Guys, if you are thinking of making a move anywhere in the Decatur, Huntsville, Madison, Athens, or anywhere else in the North Alabama area, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. And our team, we're ready to help you. If you're moving from Virginia, hey, I've got you. I've been there, done that. Be more than happy to help to hear you out so we can schedule a Zoom call. Or if you're coming down here and you're house hunting over a weekend, we'll block off time and look at some homes, help you find that place, help explore the area, and help you find that place to call home. But yeah, this is a buyer beware state, just like Virginia was. So you kind of know what you're dealing with there. Funny, because both of these two states are some of the last states in the union that are buyer beware, because the majority of them are seller disclosure states. All right, so number 6 on the list, building back off of that, what you can, especially if you are selling a home in Northern Virginia and you are moving here, odds are pretty good, especially if you've been there for a while, that you'll be coming with a lot of equity, and that the homes you're looking at here are going to be, your first instinct is, oh my gosh, look at what $700,000-$800,000 gets me here. That is crazy. Be careful. Be careful. That's, and that's something to have a discussion. We can have a discussion about. Is don't be careful to not overbuy for the area. You can get a very nice house similar to the one that you're selling at a much lower price point here. You may still have some equity left over, and you may be tempted to lifestyle inflate. And hey, I will sell you whatever house you want, but, and I saw this in my family, moving from a high cost of living area to a lower cost of living area, selling expensive homes, moving to cheaper ones, that there's a tendency to overbuy to the area because you don't know different. And then if you ever have to sell it, you are in that upper price range for what you bought, and it's harder to sell. You're looking at longer days of market. Even though now we're in such a strong seller's market, it may not be that way when you go to sell. I don't know what the future is going to hold. So just be careful that you're not having someone take advantage of you moving from a high cost living area and try to sell you something that's right in that range. We can have those discussions, and again, at the end of the day, you get to decide what price range you want. I just want to make you aware that you don't have to buy at the price point you're selling from, moving from North Virginia to here. And then kind of leading from there, something to consider. When we moved from Alexandria, Virginia, we chose to sell that house because we needed to rebuy. Now we're priced out. Our family could never move back to North Virginia, with what home prices have done. And I'm not an expert on the North Virginia or the Alexandria markets or anywhere else in that DC Metro. I'm not an expert in those markets, but something to consider if you ever want to return is you may want to think about if you can rent that house out. That way, you've still got, especially if you have a low interest rate, 4 or 3 or 2% interest rate in those areas, and a lower price mortgage, you may be able to rent it out and actually make some money. So just something to consider, and that may again factor into what you buy here. You may hold on to it for a while and sell it later, or you may just want to be done with it and leave the area. So just keep in mind, if you ever want to go back, it may be harder moving down from a high cost living area to a lower cost living area. All right, so number 4 on the list, we hit on it, low cost of living. The Huntsville Metro, the North Alabama Metro, is a very affordable when you're looking at cost of living. And we did a video for Decatur, what the cost of living is. You're going to see a lot of similarities between Decatur and the rest of the North Alabama area. So encourage you to go check out that video and do some more research. But yeah, you're looking at across the board, things being a whole lot more affordable. So that is a major pro, and just an advantage. You may be making all this money in those other areas. You may be looking at a pay cut here, but factor it into what the cost of living is. You may actually be better off even if you take a lower paying job here because of the lower cost of living. So that's number 4 on the list. All right, so number 3 on the list, school systems. Now, I was not a part of any of the school systems here, and I lived in one of the best elementary schools in Northern Virginia, there in Fairfax County. I didn't go to those schools either. Personally, I was homeschooled, and so what I can speak on is from the homeschool point of view. From the public school or private school point of views, do your research. Just do your research. Looking at online, rankings and what they say and what reviews are for parents, in the school zones, you can find that information in third party. I do encourage you to look at that, but use that as a starting point. And to keep digging deeper, you can contact the local school boards and ask questions and things like that, and consider, that's why I encourage you, really dig deep into that if that is something that is important to you. Do remember, though, that school zones change, And, be careful buying a house just because the school zone it's a part of. So because those lines could change. It may be a part of that school zone now, but hey, next year, next month, maybe it changes. I can't control that, but just something to do. I encourage you to do research. And if I know there's not as many homeschoolers, but if you are homeschoolers looking at the move, Alabama is a fairly homeschool friendly state. I know in Virginia we had to do some standardized tests and stuff. Alabama, you have what is called a cover school that you can be a part of, and they vary in what their requirements are, from a little bit stricter to very loose in letting the parents decide a lot on what to, how they want to educate their kids and what curriculum they can use. So, if you have questions on the homeschooling front, reach out. I'll give you a lot more information on that. But yeah, do your research on the school zones. There's a lot of great teachers here in the area, a lot of great schools, and efforts being made. And if school zones don't apply to you, then hey, let's move on. Number 2 on the list, this area does not have great city transportation. I know in the DC Metro, you had the Metro. You had a lot more for public transportation, a lot more taxis and public service, buses and all of that. You don't have as much of that here. You're looking at very poor public transportation for this area. It's very car dependent, so you're going to need a car. That's going to definitely factor into your cost of living here if you don't have a car up there. You're going to have one here for the most part. I mean, Ubering is really expensive if you're Ubering everywhere, but hey, at least that is something that is nice that you can have, a newer change. Those private drivers. All right, number 1 on the list, biggest change is definitely environmental. There in Virginia, you had recycling everywhere. It's a very environmentally conscious state. Here, not so much. I mean, there's environmental as far as recycling goes can be very hit and miss. And for some of you, that may feel really weird, throwing away your plastic containers, throwing away your glass, all this stuff, just thrown away and not being able to recycle it. There are some drop-off locations. There are some areas that do have recycling. It's nowhere near as prominent as the Northern Virginia area. Not just on the recycling fronts, but you are not looking at as much for solar. Now, it has been a while since I've been there. I am not as up to date on how popular solar is in the North Virginia area now, but we're having solar, a major solar production company coming here. I think their factory is supposed to open the next few years, and they're looking at being one of the biggest solar manufacturers in the world is coming here. So I'm going to anticipate that we're going to see some more solar energy coming back here. I haven't done a whole lot of research on what that effect is going to be, but anytime you're an early adopter, that can have an effect. You're probably paying a little bit more of a premium. Right now, solar isn't providing a lot of return on investments. From the cost to the resale value. But maybe down the road that's going to change, especially with these plants coming. And then electric, especially electric vehicles. You don't see as many supercharging stations. You see very few houses being built with electric vehicles in mind. So for the most part, especially if you have an electric vehicle, you're going to need to factor in that addition, getting those hookups into the home as part of the cost. You're just not seeing that as much. Maybe in some new construction you are, or that can be an add-on for sure that you can put in. Some of them will have those different add-ons, but it's not the standard here. So just we're seeing this area is maybe a bit more behind when it comes to electric vehicles, solar energy, and recycling environmental impacts. So just keep that in mind. That may be a bit of a culture shock moving from there to here. All right, so I hope that you found this video informative. This is just kind of my list from some experience I had personally. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Again, give me an email, call, or text. My name is Richard Graham. I'm with Dean's List Realty. Our office here is in Decatur, but we serve the whole North Alabama area. And our team is ready to help you. So give us that call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, however you want to get a hold of us. And don't forget to like this video. It definitely helps other people like you who are looking at relocating to the area, and subscribe to this channel. We talk about all things living, eating, sleep, play in the Decatur and North Alabama area. So until next time, thank you for watching. Take care.